Previously on Evolution on the Mic.
And we are back, season 3, The Journey to Success, episode 8, Failure is Not the End. Today, episode 8, we will be having a vulnerable and transparent discussion that God has placed on Antoine's heart to share with us, such as the importance of being consistent in leaning into God through the highs and lows.
What I set out to do, I was not doing. And part of it was because I felt like I needed to be in control as opposed to allowing God to control the situation. God should never be your co-pilot. God should be your pilot.
We start behaving, acting, making decisions on our own accord. And God is there on the side like, okay, she thinks she got it, he thinks he got it. And then that's when things start feeling like they're crumbling down. If we're not leaning into God and having him fill our cups, then it's going to be very hard for us to see behind the veil of what it is that we should do.
It's time to evolve. Evolution on the mic, evolution on the mic. Here to unite, great minds and leaders of the
Beautiful thing is, like, what I've learned, right, in just this journey with my funding company and the reels and me not doing that or creating ads and being like so scared of, I think the enemy was just trying to keep me in my own way. But what I've learned is that when I completely give it to God and completely tell him my fears and that I need his help, and I talk about it, like I talked about it with you, with my best friend Lavelle, like with my mom, with my brother, and then like coming on the podcast and being honest. Like I just think like just me expressing that and hearing myself, I kind of was like, you know what I mean? Like it helped me really like unlock something. You know what I mean? It helped me unlock something. But I think the key to unlocking that was me having, like, God was the key. Like, he was like, okay, you're not ready, but it took a lot of work. It didn't happen right away. It didn't happen in my first prayer. It didn't happen in my first conversation, but I didn't stop. God wanted me to really like feel that pain of seeing myself not doing the things that I wanted to do. So when he finally took the veil off and I was like, oh, I could do this, like screw the fear. He knew that things were going to flow in the way they needed to flow. But I had to feel that, and I had to keep asking because he knows how big of the reward was coming, because God can give us anything in a second. But we have to be willing to put in some work, and we have to be willing to ask more than one time and continue to be patient as well in that process of the waiting for those things to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to do with the waiting. A lot of people don't want to feel the pain. They don't want to sacrifice. They want it right away, or they want it when they think the time frame should be based on what they've given up. Kind of like what you're saying, which I'm glad that we're having this conversation because it's real. And there's a lot of people, including me, in that situation where I've done this amount of stuff. So based on everything that I've given up and I've done, I think my time will come. God is like, stop. You're not trusting me. You're trusting yourself. You're trusting yourself that you have the answers. But I have the answers. I just need you to do and to sacrifice and to give up and continue to give up all the things that I'm asking you to. And don't tell me when enough is enough. I know when enough is enough because I created you and you are strong and you can handle more. And even if you're going through a fire and things are taken away from you and you're feeling the pain, I got you. I got your hand. Nobody else. And that's another thing that we were talking about, Antoine, is that in this journey, you are going to feel alone. You will physically be alone. But in spirit world, you have an army behind you. In spirit world, you have God, you have, I believe in guardian angels, you have all these entities that you just go to and they will fill you up and they will carry you. You know what I mean? They will hold your hand, they will carry you along and they will push you along. And a lot of people might be looking at this that don't understand, and it's okay. Like, you don't need to understand. But for those that understand, you feel me. Like, you're not alone. You may be alone in physicality, but you're not alone in the spiritual world. And that's what I want, like, you to take away from that, Antoine, and anybody that's listening, is that it's going to be a lonely journey, especially when you want to reap amazing, beautiful benefits for God's children. And you want to do that major, amazing purpose that's going to come with so much beautiful things. Yes, financially, materially, but mainly spiritually in yourself, that you feel like you're ascending, and, nothing really, like, you just feel peaceful and joyful. Like, let somebody try you. You're just like, just let it, right? That takes a level of confidence and love and patience that you get from God when you're leaning into him. But in the journey of getting there, God is going to block time where it's just you and him.
Yeah.
And then he will tell you when you can add this person, but then it's just for a little bit. Sorry, but you're back here, until he sees that we've grown in our relationship with him, that no matter what comes our way, no matter what things might happen, highs or lows, that we're going to stay committed to him. Then he will kind of allow us to branch out and not feel like so condensed, like what is going on, like this is a lonely. But he has us there because he knows the world, what might trigger us. But we need to be confident in him and that time with him, and building that communication and understanding of following him no matter what, that no matter what's going on after that, I'm locked in, God. I see what's trying to happen in my life, but I'm not going to go and do that, or I'm not going to be swayed, and I'm not going to get frustrated and try to give up, or, try to get fearful, because I'm so locked in with you, because I've learned. I know it like I know it like I know it, that staying in this path with you is going to be the path that's not going to lead me to anything that's not of you, or anything that isn't good.
Yep. Yeah. And when you just, I'm so glad you said that, because there's things, we hear these scriptures and we hear things even whenever we go to church, or even like in conversations you're having with other believers, and that comes up. And one of the things I've heard a lot is, God will not put on us more than we can bear. And it never really hit me until what you were just saying, which is that, when we're going through this stuff, we think that we know how much we can bear. And we're like, okay, I've done this. Okay, I'm ready, God. Come on, bring it in, bring it in. I'm ready. I've done this. I'm ready. I know I have what it takes. And he's like, you have no clue. You're not ready. You're not ready. Just trust me. Instead of you trying to do everything your way, just trust me, because I know what you can bear. I understand that. And you might say, well, how does he know? Because we are his children. I think about it with my daughter all the time. There's things, because I've watched her grow and I've seen her develop. I know her mannerisms. I know what things she tends to do. I know when she needs something. It's kind of like with the mother. They'll say, like, when a baby's first born, like, a mother can instantly know their child's cry without even, like, just know it. They can hear it, like, that's my baby. They can pick it out in a crowd. And that's the same way, like, God knows us. He's created us. He has the owner's manual. He knows what needs to be fixed. He knows what parts of our life needs to be adjusted, because he has the owner's manual. He's created us. And so he knows what we can bear. And I will be the first to admit, yes, I am constantly trying to be the one in control when it comes to God. And I think that is my biggest shortfall, and one of the things that holds me back in so many areas of my life. If I can just surrender and just let go, and just allow him to do his work, do what he has called me to do. If he's saying, go here, not even question, well, why I got to go here, and why I got to do this, and what's the point of, no, I said, go here, just go. And I think it's that obedience, the more we start to become obedient, and this is just from experience, the times in my life when I've been obedient and I didn't question, I just did what God said, the things that came from that were incredible. Incredible. Like, he opened doors, he brought people in my life. There was opportunities that I would have never even imagined could have happened had I just not been obedient. Like, just be obedient, listen. And that's when I was thinking about that saying of, God won't put on us more than we can bear. That's what comes to mind. Like, he knows that. He's already there. And when we start thinking about the relationships, and you had mentioned like the pipeline, that's another area for me that personally I'm continuing to work on, is that pipeline of the relationship and having a deep relationship with him. God wants to know what's going on. Like, he wants to understand what's going on. He already knows, but it's that part of verbalizing it. Like you were saying, Ariana, like, it's a part of, like, God already knows what the blockers are and what needs to be removed, but God's not going to come in and just remove it for you. You need to get there on your own. And it's through having those conversations that he starts to give you a little bit. Like, you talk, it's almost like I don't know if anyone's done this. I do this sometimes. I'll just talk things out. Like if you need to, like you're stuck and you can't figure out how to get, you start talking out. Well, what if I did this? And if I try this and I move this and da 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 da. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're having that conversation with God, and He's just watching you as you're working, and your brain's trying to figure it all out. And at some point, it clicks. At some point, it clicks, and God goes, "Yeah, that's right. Now go and do. Go and take action." And it's at that moment that we do, and we start to go, like you said, like you went and started doing reels, and immediately the floodgates opened. You already knew it. You was like, I know this is it. I just, for some reason, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And as soon as you just allowed God, just like you just leaned in and you said, God, I surrender. I surrender all to you. It just flowed. And it was effortless. It didn't require anything else for you to do. It didn't require extra work. Like you were already knew that I have to do reels. You already knew that. It wasn't like there was something surprising, because we know you don't like surprises. It wasn't surprising. It was something you already knew.
Yeah.
And I have to think about that even with my life. Like for me personally, like I have to remember that when I'm going through these scenarios, that the answers are already there. I just need to continue to build that deep relationship with Him, continue to talk with Him every day.
Yeah. And I mean, and like you were saying, like I had to get out of my own way. So right now, what I hear you saying is that you are kind of in God's way. Like you're doing it on your own, like to surrender that control. Like you want to do it, like you know, like you know better. No, Antoine, you don't know better.
I don't.
God knows better.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you having that control is what has been causing that highs and lows in your life. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you give and then sometimes no, got it. You know, and like I did too, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you're vocalizing right now, that is a block. The control, to relinquish control, to let God lead. I want to lead because, you know, it's like I'm the man of the house, or, you know, like I'm a father, and it's like God is your father.
Yes.
He, you know, just like you want to lead your daughter in this physical world, but you know, there's God that's also leading her. So, you know, God is leading you. God is leading me. God is leading you, who if you're watching. Like God is our father and He's leading us, and we want to get to a place where we give Him control. You know what I mean? Because there's no one else that we can trust anywhere. Go anywhere, look anywhere. Doesn't matter who it is. There's no one else on this planet Earth, outside of Earth, that we can trust other than God, because He would never fail us. He never does anything to harm us. He just does things to teach us. We have to feel the pain because like He knows how to undo anything, but He wants us to recognize that something needs to be undone and ask, help me undo this. Because if He just undoes it for us and we didn't even know something had to be undone, we're not going to have the skill for the next thing that happens, what to do. Because it's like God just keeps coming through for us and magically taking things away, and we weren't even aware of it. He wants us to grow the muscle, the awareness, the skill, the toolbox, right? Because things will continually happen in our lives, right? But it's how we react to them. What are we doing when things are happening? How are we handling them? You know, are we giving them to God, or are we trying to take control? You know, are we asking Him for help, or are we just like, I got this on my own? Right? Like, so I think the vocalizing of that, and, you know, to God and to other people, and admitting things to ourselves and being honest, and, you know, not being in denial, like all those things are very helpful when we are trying to climb the ladder to success, and we're trying to achieve, and, you know, we're trying to, you know, be good humans and just live life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And something I heard as you're talking, and this is me personally, that control is fear. That control is complete fear. And the fear is, I don't want to fail. And so if I'm controlling it, and it's such a weird way of how our brain works and we think, it's like, if I'm controlling it, then I have a better chance of there not being failure. When the reality is complete opposite. By me trying to control it, the level of failure increases drastically compared to God being in control. And I think that's something that's important to remember, because in the fear that I think is driving the failure part is because, I do create some belief systems in my mind that, well, if I fail, it's over. And it's not over. It's not over. If you fail, it's not over. If anything, failure is just the beginning. And you don't necessarily like. I think the question becomes like, do you think that God allows us to experience failure? And I think the short answer is yes. We do go through failure because there's opportunities for us to learn. But I think when that failure happens, it's not that God is causing us to fail. What it is that we are choosing to do or take things into our own hands that leads to a place of failure. When you're actually allowing God to direct our lives and to be the pilot, failure doesn't really exist because you're doing what he's calling you to do. The failure comes in when God's saying, yeah, your aunt, she needs $5,000 and I need you to withdraw $5,000 from your bank and give to your aunt. And you're like, but God, I only have like $5,500 in my account. That's going to leave me $500. And my bills for the month are $5,000. He's like, yeah, I know. Go ahead and give it to her. And we don't. And then we go through some tough times. And all of a sudden, something else happens. Car breaks down. This happens. And we're like, what is going on? And we start thinking, well, I'm failing. I'm losing. This doesn't happen. Nothing's in flow. I'm out of sync. It's like, God's like, I'm asking you just to follow me and listen. Because what you didn't know is had you withdrawn that $5,000 and been obedient and given it to your aunt, that would have helped her, but then I would have turned around and had someone else give you a check for $10,000 that you've been waiting on, that you've needed someone to reimburse you back for. That is how it works. And I will be, again, I'm the first to admit, I don't always get this right. And it's frustrating. It is frustrating as all heck because I'm so tired of failing, but I know with each failure, I'm learning something new. I'm learning more about myself. And so I'm so grateful for what you've even just imparted in me today, Ari, as we're sitting here talking, because you're absolutely right. Vocalizing it, being vulnerable, talking out about it is so cleansing. Even now, as we're talking about it, I feel life coming back to me again, because I'm realizing that, one, I'm not alone. God is with me. And God is not only my cheerleader, my coach, he's my father. And he wants me to win. He wants me to achieve my wildest dreams, the things he has set out for me. He wants me to have them. And he's only asking one thing, like, just check in with me. Check in with me. Honor me. Walk a life as I've showed you to live, and the kingdom will be yours. And it's just, it's just a reminder of how we can, as humans, make things to be so big, as though it's such a heavy lift when it's so small. It's so small.
I mean, the way I see it is like, I think the enemy puts it in our mind that it's so big, you know what I mean, to trust God, to surrender to him, to have him be in control, like what might happen, or I know better. I think that's the enemy seeping through our mind and keeping us trapped, because he knows the power that we will encompass when we surrender to God, when we give it to God, when we allow God to lead. He knows. So he's going to do whatever he can to make us believe that don't do, be, you know what I mean? Everything is, have fears, he's going to do that to make you feel like you being in control is going to give you a better outcome. He's going to make you believe that. You know what I mean? And that's what happens with a lot of us. It's just the enemy trying to get in creative ways in our brains to stay away from God, because he knows that once we're locked in with God and we've surrendered and we're like, God, I know you have all the control, whatever you tell me to do, and things start working for us, it's over. Because we're just going to stay on that fast lane with God. Boom, boom, boom. God, I'm going to keep doing what you're telling me to do. The thing is that the enemy has that hold. And he tells us things that we it sounds like our voice. It sounds like our thoughts. They're not our thoughts. It's not our voice. He's just good at, capturing certain things in our minds that we believe it's ourselves saying that. Meanwhile, it's him, whispering those things to us. And we're like, yeah, that's true. That's true. Believing those lies. No. You know what I mean? Like, we need to just get to a point where it's like, let me at least try it God's way. Let me see if I just completely surrender, no matter all else hell breaks loose, because all hell's already breaking loose. Like, I'm already in some deep waters in my life. I'm already feeling icky. Things are not working. I'm already feeling like I'm disappointing my loved one. Things are already not working, doing it my way. doing it the devil's way. It's not.
Yeah.
So can we just try it God's way and completely surrender, completely give him control and see what happens? Because what we're doing, thinking we got it, it's not working. Completely not. Because we're letting the devil lead. But when we let God lead and we completely surrender, we completely relinquish control with our hearts. You know what I mean? Like ask him in prayer with tears coming down your face. And he feels our love in our heart for ourselves and for him to wanting to improve certain things in our lives that we want to let go of because we want to see things get better. What happens is that he's going to be like, you know, he's going to start shifting things and we're going to start feeling better. But automatically, the first feeling is peace. That's the first automatic feeling when we surrender to God, when we relinquish, when we give him the control, when we give him the authority, it's peace. And when you have peace, what happens? Your mind is calm. You're making decisions not based on you, yourself. You're making decisions based on that peace and serenity that you're like, okay, this is what's best for me. This is what I need to do next. You know, this is what I feel is best for me, because now you're doing things out on anxiety. You're not running in your human self, in your human mind. You know, you're in peace and you're taking your time to say, okay, God, what is next? But that peace is everything. And that's the first thing that happens when you tell God, help me. I need you. I want to relinquish this control. I want to trust you. I don't know how, but I really, really do want to. You know, come into my mind, come into my heart, and help me unleash all these fears that I have, because I know they're not real. I know they didn't come from you, because when things come from you, things automatically feel differently. You know, with yourself and with other people, it's just a different vibe that comes along with it. And that's not my experience right now, you know? So you're right, Antoine. That control thing that you're having is completely led by fear. And fear comes from the enemy. Love comes from God. Peace, joy, understanding, clarity comes from God. But we cannot serve two masters. We have to serve one, right? And you know what I mean? And we make that choice every day. We make that choice. Who am I serving today? When I'm not leaning into God, I'm leaning into myself. Then the enemy is open to just take over. But when I start my day with God and I'm leaning into him and I have that automatic peace, he's helping me make the decisions that I need to make. You know, now I'm serving the real master of the universe and of our lives and of our eternity. So I just think that those are choices that we make, but it is every day. And it is day by day, and it is consistency, you know? And it's okay if we start and have a moment, because we're human. But it's when we having that moment, talking about it with someone, being vulnerable, being transparent, not thinking like I got it together, I'm good. No, being able to openly talk to someone that you know you love, or someone that you feel safe with, because as you're talking, even if they say nothing, you're going to hear yourself and you're going to be like, that's really what I'm feeling. Oh no, because we're saying it out loud and we're going to hear ourselves. And that moment, I'm no longer hearing what the enemy's telling me. I'm hearing me. And it's like, that's no thoughts. That's no. And that's what I noticed happened to me in my journey with the reels and my fears. As I spoke about it out loud, I was like, girl, like, really? That's what you're, no. And over time, it was like, I haven't had enough of myself. This fear got to go. It's not real. You know what I mean? So to everybody that's watching, it is important to remember that the journey to success won't be perfect. And recognizing what isn't perfect will help you get back in line with God's purpose for your life. Sometimes we need to go through life experiences for things to click and for you to recognize what is not working. That's what I realized. That's what Antoine's realizing. And I hope that in this episode, you can realize that for yourself. It is not about it's not about perfection. It is about progress. And God is there for us along the way, holding our hands through it all, forgiving us, loving us unconditionally. It doesn't matter what you've done, what mistakes you've done, what failures you think that you've done in your life. God will be there every step of the way. As long as you ask him and lean into him, he will be there. I promise you that. If you want to try it, I recommend right after the show, just close your eyes and ask God to come into your heart. Ask God to be there for you, because he will. and ask God to love on you. If you don't feel love for yourself, you don't feel love from no one else, ask God to show you his love. And I promise you, if nothing else, you would feel warmth in your heart. And that is the love of God. As usual, y'all, if you have any thoughts, comments, or anything that you would like to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. And with that, thank you for tuning in. Until our next episode, always remember that having faith in God, having faith in yourself, and having faith in others will create the evolution that you are seeking.